Frank came along at a time, or the time was right for him. He was ready at a time when the French Connection heroin, quote unquote, had dried up. And as the story tells us, he took the bold choice of going to Thailand, going to Vietnam, and finding his own source. In those days, as the story is told, the heroin was sold for $50,000, $60,000 a kilo at 50% purity, 60% pure. He found it 100% pure for $4,200 a kilo. It was sold on the street at about 2% pure. So you can do the math. He made an incredible amount of money. At one point, he was making about $1 million a day himself. What interested me in the story was not to glorify a drug dealer, and I told Frank that when I met him. I found it fascinating that he only did 15 years in prison when he was caught. Reason being is he told on all the cops who were as dirty as he was, and he told on some of the Italian mob guys that he was doing business with, and his sentence was reduced. Frank is very charming. Frank is very charming, very humble, and he'll have you working for him by the end of the day. He's a force of nature. He's a natural-born leader. You know, as he said, you know, if I had become a doctor, all my brothers would have become doctors. If I had become worked at a dry cleaners, they followed me. He said, I got in the drug business, and they followed me into the drug business. So he was the leader. I think he sort of assumed that head role as a child. And, you know, if you were on the set ever and you saw his brothers and everybody around, he was still the leader. He was in the wheelchair, but he was still running everybody. He ran me out of there. But in our story, you know, Richie's quite the ladies' man. Here's a quote-unquote clean-cut cop who's cheated all over his wife and been with everybody all over the place. And then here you have the most notorious drug dealer possibly in the history of America, who's this family man who's actually leading more of a normal, for lack of a better word, life than Richie. So they were destined to meet. You know, Frank had no idea who was being pursued by Richie, but ultimately, and to this day, they're still friends. It was interesting to shoot that last because that really took the movie all the way home for me. I was like, this guy came all the way over here by himself. And he actually just hung around for 2 months trying to make connections. He didn't have a connection. He went over there for 2 months and then had the guts to buy this stuff, walk from Thailand across to Vietnam, get soldiers involved, get them to bring it back for him. I mean, I don't want to give away the whole story, but he basically got, you know, because he was seeing, and this is, again, going back to American Gangster, this is the American part about it. He was seeing what was going on with these soldiers. He's looking at dope fiends in the street in America, and then seeing how the soldiers were coming back, talking about the most powerful heroin was over there. So he put 2 and 2 together.